Hello and welcome to the Chesapeake Today Show. It's your Executive Director, David Loop.
And Candace Montgomery, Director of Life Enrichment.
Well, Candace, in recent weeks, and I refer to January and February,
Yeah.
I know the show's competently proceeded, but between a little travel and some other things,
Yeah.
I know we've had some partners in this show.
We have.
It's
really
a whole
have.
host of characters.
It is.
So what? Isaiah and Matt.
Matthew.
Okay.
Yes. So we've held down the fort.
Very nice.
Yes.
Well, I know we're going to have an interesting program today, and we'll get more into that. But let's talk about the last few days of February.
Sure, that sounds good.
So last week, when I think back, a couple interesting things. One, behind the scenes, but some of you may have seen that big equipment arrive, and that chiller, weighing tons. The old one was carefully removed, the new one was installed, and now having two state-of-the-art pieces of equipment replaced within about 15 months of each other really will set us up nicely for the air conditioning season and having a high reliability on that equipment.
Good.
So that was one thing.
Yeah, that's a peace of mind for sure.
Yeah. You and I, we had a little stroll.
We did.
So why don't you introduce it and what we were up to?
So if those of you who haven't checked out the Gloucester Commons project is really coming along. Now you can see the life that's coming into it. Took a walk on the pathway along with Cindy Hogan. Talked about a few trees, shrub, dead plant removal, disguising a few things as well.
Yeah.
Some of those necessary utility boxes. Yeah. But it's just nice to see the waterfalls come together and everything's not finished, but to hear the water and it's just
hopefully
so
they're
nice.
catching the vision.
Yes, you can
and
see it.
Cindy, not only buildings and grounds, but I think her and Marty Grenier and Betty Berry. And they've all been working sort of on a subgroup as well as to, we know we have 4 trees that will be installed because of 4 cut down within the contract of doing this work. Well, Marty and the others have identified it could be up to 10 to 12 trees that we may want to place in strategic locations to be sensitive to future plans. And we don't know how far our funds will go. It is always a donation opportunity.
Sure.
And that's something you may think through. I think we talked a little bit about flower gardens.
We did.
And maybe putting some flower gardens in.
Yes.
And could happen. And what are your thoughts? Are we going to pull off this spring cleanup day?
I think so. I heard from one other resident that I had reached out to recommending Bluebird Gap Farm does some plant sales. There's also Mr. Bunting has given us some guidance on a place in Pocosin that has really good quality plants that I think we can really do it. I can envision it. Just getting the community involved, residents, team members, and just making it beautiful over there, even more so than it already is.
And it's not just the Gloucester Commons. I'm trying to pronounce it like Travers tells me to pronounce it. It doesn't slip off my tongue. Like, you did well. But the idea of a spring cleanup day is to get a group of team members, and we could release some of us, whoever's able, some volunteers, maybe on an afternoon, could be from 1 until the end of the day, noon until end of the day. Residents can join in. And we can identify projects. Could be some plantings within the commons. It could be some other things we do around campus. But it's just really just taking care of our community and having that combined effort of team members and residents could be very fun.
Most definitely.
Did it a couple years ago, and I remember going through the detention pond behind Smithfield. And oh my gosh, I can visibly see some of the team members and residents, and we really cleaned that thing up. It had just been mowed, but there was a lot of debris.
How long did that take to get that kind of cleaned up?
We had several bags full.
Okay.
I think a couple of us sort of sunk in the mud a little bit.
I bet, I can imagine.
But a good experience.
Good.
So anyways, stay tuned. Maybe in April around Earth Day or something?
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think April will be good. It can be tricky this time of year with the weather. March can be up in the air, same with April with the rain, but we do have Earth Day in April.
Yep, and the shrubs can clearly go in, and we can work through that, but the flowering gardens, we'll have to think a little bit further, but we'll time it out. But if you want to get involved, never too early to let us know.
Yes, most definitely.
Looking ahead. So anyways, last week, Cindy, thank you for the walkthrough. Yes. Marty, Betty, sorry you weren't with us, but it was a good experience.
Very good, yeah.
So what else is happening? Or did happen, I guess, is where we still are.
Yeah. Well, we had Leap Day.
Did you watch the movie?
I didn't watch the movie, but what was really, I was kicking myself because my son Clint, when I asked him, because when I got home, he had this big crown on his head that had frogs all over, and they celebrated Leap Day, and they had frogs hidden around the school, and you had to find them. And I was kicking myself for not thinking of that. That's adorable.
Yeah.
So next time, I need to write that down somewhere. I was like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. And he's like, it was so much fun. We all had to go look for them. I was like, man, that's a really good idea and so simple.
So we're talking about a movie as well
Yes.
called Leap Year that we
Yeah.
did show
We did
last
show.
week.
We did.
So it got shown here to residents. I went home that night.
Did you
and-
watch it?
No, because it cost money.
They took it off of, they do that on purpose.
It was a time that,
It's
it's usually it's
strategic.
a free, but it was, you had to rent or buy.
Yes.
I've seen it before, so I didn't. But a really fun, contemporary romantic comedy about the tradition of Irish women taking the initiative of proposing, not waiting for the man.
And what was interesting when we talked about in our morning huddle of how that movie is more Irish based, right? But the actual origins go back to
Caesar, which would be
Julius
Roman in Italy.
Yeah,
Because
so it
he's
was
the
kinda
one back in
interesting.
like something BC or whatever, right,
Right.
at AD, wherever Caesar was, and he's the one who pronounced and created that.
Right.
Calendar and sort of the leap.
So fascinating.
So, did you realize this year, as a salaried team member, we're working one more day than we did last year, and we're not getting
I
compensated?
had not realized that, but
Well, thank you for your free
pointing
day of service. Thank you
You're
for your
so
extra.
welcome.
So residents, all of our salaried
We're
staff
pitching in.
worked an extra day for you.
Yes.
So,
Oh my goodness,
in
that's
that, I never
funny.
thought about that either
I
until.
didn't either. I mean, it just becomes such a, it's like another day, but then you don't realize of how unique it is,
Yeah.
until it's here.
Yeah, what fun.
Wow.
I guess we should challenge the wage and hour people, say, hey,
Well.
is this really fair?
Right.
We surely did budget an extra day
We
of wages.
didn't. I know. There's some logic
Yeah.
in that. I don't
What
know.
fun. Real great.
Yeah.
So, other than that, we're moving out. We had March 1st. We are into the first week of March.
It is so hard to believe, but I tell you what, I've been enjoying this warm up of the weather. Oh my goodness, I can feel the spring upon us. It makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
I'm not a winter person at all. So I'm like, yay, spring. So I'm excited that March is here.
It is. And, we think we're, less than 3 weeks away now from the official.
From the official.
Being in this area more temperate, I feel spring sooner.
Right.
Being, so many years in Ohio and Illinois
That's true.
and Michigan, oh my gosh, I didn't, until Mother's Day, I really didn't think much about spring. But here, we will get many nice days in March.
Random
Many
days.
nice days in April.
And I shouldn't complain because we don't really have true winter here
No
compared
snow.
to what you're used to. I know. Not
Another
even
year.
flurries if I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Isn't that amazing?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm
And I
okay
know-
with that.
I am too. I've seen some. I have a few pictures of a couple years ago here, where I can look at and see the wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's good. So here we are this first week. You want to talk about some events? What do we got going on?
Yes. I mean, I feel like I say this every time, but these weeks are just jam-packed with variety, which I'm always happy to see. So starting off on Monday, we do have our shopping to Langley, 9 a.m., leaving from the Hampton entrance. At 5 p.m. is our pool class that is open to both residents and team members.
Okay.
And I have to share, just because I taught last week's pool class on Monday night, just the residents who have been attending have just enjoyed the opportunity to have something in the evening that is that late. I'm thinking back to one resident, Miss Molly Forehand. She was like, I just really like to sleep in these days. And I just lean into that. And so she said this class is just so nice because her and I hadn't interacted that closely in a while, and so we got to talk a little bit more, and it's nice to see residents and team members in a different way. Now, I will say I have had many team members who said, you're not going to catch me in a bathing suit, but I just want to say there's no judgment. Nobody's judging anybody. We're just there to exercise.
Yeah.
So putting that out there, that all are welcome to attend. So that's Monday night at 5 p.m. in the pool. Tuesday, going to the Hampton History Museum, leaving at 9:30. I know they've recently renovated this, so that's going to be leaving on Tuesday. That afternoon, we are starting a new program. This is going to be a weekly program. We're kind of trialing it for March. So at 2 p.m. in the Newport Courtyard, hopefully the weather is our friend, a spring dog exercise program. If you remember, we started this last year, kind of intermittent. We did it once a month just to see the popularity. We have so many folks who have dogs now who are interested in getting them out and socializing more, because some dogs, when they come into the community, they're used to being the only dog and they don't really interact well. So this is going to be a weekly thing where you'll be able to come exercise yourself and also the dog, socialize, and get some training. So it's going to be very interesting. Trying to keep it on a consistent basis. So those that have dogs have received a special invitation. And then, of course, anybody who wants to come and just observe is welcome as well. So that's Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we are going to the Community Forum on Aging. This year, it's going to be at Liberty Live Church in Hampton. Typically, it's at the Hampton Convention Center, so interesting switch there. 7:30 a.m. So they do have a plethora of vendors that are going to be there. They have a keynote speaker, lunch. It's a very informative time. 11:45, going to Burger Theory right around the corner here, leaving from the Hampton entrance. That afternoon, Colonial Web is going to be here to do their overview at 2 p.m. in the Chesapeake room. And then it's my understanding that James is going to be offering some tours after that. So that's going to be very interesting. Our Davy landscaping lecture went really well last week. That was another thing to talk about. That evening, we have our entertainment, Billy Mitchell. And then Thursday, we have our mystery bus ride leaving from 10 a.m. from the Hampton entrance. Creative Writing Club in the Harbor Room at 11 o'clock. They put a little pause last month because Miss Sugioka had some surgery, so we're back to that. And then kicking off line dancing. We took a pause on this as well for attendance, but when we did our activity surveys, people want to see line dancing again, so we're going to try it. 2 p.m. we have a new instructor, Cynthia Norge, is going to be in the Chesapeake room. Don't have to sign up, just come, see if you want to try it out. And then Friday, we are kicking off our Women's History Month with an educational offering. Live to Lead, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to be at 11 a.m. in the Explorer Room. Then that afternoon, I love to see this, or evening I should say, we have 2 trips leaving at the same time. We've got the Virginia Opera presents Madame Butterfly at 6:15. And then 6:45, we've got a symphony orchestra presents Carmina Burana at the Ferguson Center.
Very good.
So I love when I see the bus going in.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Busy week.
Busy week.
Then we hit Saturday, the 9th.
Yes.
And are we springing ahead?
We are springing ahead. It's hard to believe we're here already, but yes, it's that time.
So then we'll be adjusting our clocks.
Yes.
So something to think about, and that will happen.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, great week planned and a lot happening. We're continuing to do a variety of things, both inside, outside, some little subtle things. We're right now really a lot of work over in healthcare, getting that entrance door. Really hope to get it re-engineered. We had to we're going to have to replace one door and perhaps just remove it. But that's out there. I know you've got a nice billiards table on order.
Yes,
so that's still going to be coming.
I'm excited for that.
And then a few weeks away, we'll see that new exercise equipment
station.
out at the Gloucester Commons
really
area.
Neat.
So good. And we'll, in the near future, we'll start talking further about our 4B renovations, give you more detail on that, but really excited about it. And, more to come. But that will be something we'll be able to illustrate, share some drawings with you.
Yes, most definitely.
I think the other thing before we know it, James is going to be working on communications because we're going to be restriping the parking lots.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that this year we've really said we can jump over sealing everything in all good condition. A couple areas we worry, but it's not enough in itself just to say we're fine. On one hand, we think we have a lot of traffic, but then on the opposite side, compared to roadways, our traffic isn't as heavy. So we'll keep you posted about some dates, maybe yet this month.
Okay.
And that's going to be a coordination project, getting everything striped. And many of you want us to make sure the term residence parking, where guests can go, et cetera, it's important. So it's a big reason for this painting of the parking lots.
That's great.
Yep.
Much needed.
Alrighty. Well, I know we've got a very interesting
We do.
interview today.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you and forging a relationship with Peninsula
I'm
Catholic
excited
High School.
about it. Yes, they've just been great to work with. So I don't want to give too much away with the interview, but it's wonderful to see the intergenerational.
Absolutely, and I think you've opened up an opportunity both with students and instructors to continued relationships with
Sure.
these young people. And you never know, some of these young people will be connecting with our residents and to all of us, and you never know, we may be influencing their career decisions.
I know. Lots of possibilities for
Yeah.
sure.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Well, I hope we've whet your appetite, so stay tuned for a very special interview of two guests, and I look forward to that conversation.
Yep.
All right. We got it covered?
We got it covered.
All righty. Well,
Sounds
you
good.
all have a wonderful week, and thank you for joining in.
All right. See you next time.
Hello and welcome back to the Chesapeake Today Show. It's your Executive Director, David Loop, and today it is a thrill for me to have a couple students, two individuals from our Peninsula Catholic High School. And Claire and Logan, it is great having both of you here today, and can't wait to hear more about this experience you've been having with the Chesapeake and our residents. So Claire, why don't you start? A little bit about yourself and what would you like to share?
I'm a junior at Peninsula Catholic. I'm the president of the organization Rho Kappa. I'm an athlete and I'm involved in a lot of things.
So Rho Kappa, give us a little bit more about that, what it's about.
It's the Social Studies Honor Society at Peninsula Catholic. This is the first year it's existed, and it's just very focused on historic things, learning, experiencing, that stuff.
You are the inaugural president. Are they going to put this in a plaque or somewhere? I mean, that's pretty esteemed, inaugural president of a group. So that's cool. What sports do you like to play?
My main sport's soccer. I also do basketball and tennis.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. Well, so glad you're with us today. Logan, how about yourself? Let's share a little bit.
Well, I'm the president of the FBLA. You know, I play some sports, and I'm part of a few other clubs. Nothing too much.
Very good. Now, both of you reside in Newport News, or is your home beyond?
Yeah, I live in Newport News.
Yeah. How about you,
I'm
Claire?
in Smithfield.
Smithfield. As I shared with you before, my children went to a private school in Ohio, and same thing. We had kids from throughout that area, and it was interesting because it just brought such diversity, interesting people, quality individuals, and I'm sure your school's the same. So we've had an interesting opportunity, or I should say you have. I guess it's a little bit of both ways, in that you've been meeting with some of our residents, and I think it's sort of called a living library. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that, and how would you summarize it to those who may not know what it is?
So Living Library is when we gather the residents here and then we ask them to tell their story so that we can learn more about it, because textbooks don't tell you everything, like experiences, how people were feeling at that time. So it's a way to just learn about it directly from a source.
Great. And how many students have been coming here from your high school? Has it been a group that have been meeting with the residents, or how many have been back and forth?
It's probably about like 10 people.
10.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. Logan, yourself, have you had an opportunity to talk with some residents so far?
Every time there's been a living libraries, I've been able to attend, and I think they're very good to go to. There's this one guy I like talking to, Mr. Hughes. He's been around the world, and he's been to like 75 different countries, and just hearing him talk about his experience in like each like individual countries, I just find it really interesting.
Yeah. He's actually helped write the economic policies for some countries.
Oh, really?
In fact, my wife is from Albania, and she once helped him with some translation as he was, through Zoom, talking with people from Albania as they were setting forth some fiscal policies for the country. So it's really fascinating, folks like Jesse and what they mean. So, very nice. Anybody you've met so far?
The first time I went, I can't remember his name, but so I'm interested in NASA, and that was where he was, where he works. So it was really interesting to talk to him, and it kind of got me like excited to want to go into that field.
Yeah. When and I will say to you, and I've worked in senior living retirement communities for well beyond your years on this earth. I've been doing this for 40 years. Worked in retirement communities in Hawaii and Chicago, Illinois, and here. And I often said, the most enriching part of my career is the people I've met. And it's not just the Jess Hughes and what he meant to, not just economics here in our local colleges, but throughout the world. Or, I think of Fred Jones and him being the Apollo photographer, and he photographed all Mercury and Apollo astronauts. Or, I think about Nancy White, one of our residents. She was part of the original mainframe Fortran operators. So recently when I'm watching the movie Hidden Figures, I'm saying they were there. It wasn't Kathleen Johnson, wasn't the calculators, although we have had some residents who've been calculators from that time. And you go on to the others that were part of the engineering. One of our residents, his story, he helped to patent the magnetic accelerator that's on the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier, propulsing jets into the air.
Really?
Was steam catapults. Now it's a magnetic. So keep learning. I've had such a wonderful experience because all residents move in, and even when I first started to work here, I made a mission to go talk to all of them, and it's just like they're amazing. Mm-hmm. And I go back in my career, and I've had some others that have been enjoyable. But anyways, enough about that. Let me hear just other thoughts. Do you have some upcoming visits planned, or how long will this go on, or anything else about the Living Library?
I mean, this is a school year, like school-wide event. The next one's in 2 weeks, and I really enjoy going to them when I can make it to them, because I do have some conflicts, but when I do go, I always look forward to it. I don't want to leave because they just keep talking, and I just love listening to everything they have to say.
Yeah, that's great. Logan, how about yourself? Any one you'd like to talk with? Is there some field or occupation that you would love to connect with somebody?
Ooh. You know any good, like, businessmen, maybe? Because I'm interested in the field of business myself.
Absolutely. I can immediately think about some that have been very business-oriented, entrepreneurs. And what's even fascinating, some of them now talk through their children. Dave Melroy, his daughter is second in command at NASA right now. She piloted 2 space shuttles. She was captain of the most recent Challenger. So when you hear of those people, they're here. And they come in and out of our walls, and it's amazing. So that's great. So we'll have to think about it, and I'm sure between your instructor, Candace, and I, we can help align you to somebody who could probably share with you some very enlightening business things. One that comes to mind, and he was a brilliant mind, Leo Walsh, and he worked under Lee Iacocca and was head of really design for Chrysler, and his team is the one who thought through and developed the first minivan, and just a fascinating person. And he recently was on I think it was a Richmond News Channel, and so neat one. So he could be somebody you might like to meet. So people are everywhere. So with that, you've got more visits throughout the rest of this year. And what has it done in your eyes of older adults? You may have grandparents and others, but now you're seeing a different group. So what's been your thoughts and connectivity to these older adults?
I mean, you see where, like, everyone comes from, and it's really nice to just learn other people's backgrounds. You can kind of connect, because not everyone, like, in my family has the same things. Like, no one's interested in NASA, but then when I talked to people that worked at NASA, it was like, oh, I can connect to you in some way. Mm-hmm. So careers are a good way to connect.
Yeah, very fine. How about yourself? When it comes to those older adults and talking with them, and, how's it been for you?
I think their life stories are just really interesting. Some of them are pretty funny, some of them are a bit more tragic, but overall, they're just, like, interesting stories. It helps give you another perspective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I often have just said, talking with them, we're really listening, as your program suggests. It's this living library of their experiences, but their loved ones, they've defined the community, the society we live in, and they've shaped so much of this. You hear their stories about what Newport News was like, what Hampton was like, what Smithfield was like, before bridges, before tunnels. It's just fascinating to what they share with us.
It's like a whole other world, yeah.
It really is. But they bridge it, and as you'll realize as you grow older, years go by. But then again, in their lives, they may reflect back 70 years, and it's a flicker of time. So right now, 70 years is a huge amount of time for you. But that's very fascinating. Well, it's a changing area, and I think for you all to be doing this is just really special. And I hope that there's a lot more opportunities that we have with students from yourself, from your high school, maybe other clubs and groups, doing other things. I had an organization in Chicago where, with the local high school, there was a group that brought in, gently used but turned in phones, and they had put then music on for the generations of the residents to enjoy. And they talked about that music and sharing of that in the different genres. And it was surprising how many young people were starting to listen to some music that the residents had enjoyed. So there's just so many possibilities, and they're equally rewarding to you and to them. So if you would have anything to say to residents perhaps who have not participated, what's your invitation to them? What would you say to a resident to say, hey, come and visit, come and talk. What are your thoughts?
I mean, like what you just said, it's a reward to both sides. Like, I enjoy learning everything they have to say, and I think it's fun. Like, I can see some of them get really passionate about all the things they had done in their lives, and it's like, yeah, tell me about all your accomplishments, because I know you're proud of them, and it's interesting to hear about them. So it's really rewarding for us to hear, and then I think it'd be rewarding for you to tell.
Yeah. Any invitation you'd like to extend to anyone?
I couldn't have said it better myself. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, I think that residents hearing the two of you and witnessing you and just your poise and how you're communicating today, it gives them confidence of the youth that's going to be leading us into the future, and that's something you're growing, and you're giving them that comfort too. And we always think about what are young people doing today, and are they just into this or that or whatever? And here you are, listening and learning, and that's very important. Anything else? I'll start with you, Logan. Anything else you'd like to add or share about this experience, or any other element that you'd like to?
Nothing comes to mind right now, no.
Okay. Claire, anything from you?
Yeah, I want to hear from more people, so if more people would go, that'd be really nice.
Great. Well, let's get more residents out. We appreciate this partnership with Peninsula Catholic High School. Very much appreciate both Logan and Claire being with us today. Also, their esteemed instructor. She's quietly along with our executive producer. But I hope we've covered everything, ladies. They're shaking their heads. You guys did a great job. I hope you have a great rest of your school year, and look forward to you coming back and doing something like this again, okay?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for being with us, and until next time, have a great day.